So you have this situation where, some people will say, okay, but a little bit of interest is good because we need credit. We need to be able to finance things, right? I think that let's for a second leave aside the fact that we live in an economy where debt is necessary because, goods and services have so inflated beyond our means that we have to borrow. Why do we borrow in the first place? Why do we not have an economic system in which it is very difficult to inflate prices of goods and services? Pakistan is a very good example of that. Pakistan has been to the IMF, I don't know how many, 20 times or so? Right, 24 times. And each time it gets poorer. And each time the IMF says, well, if you do this and you do this and you do this and you introduce austerity and more taxes and you create more burden on people, you make people more oppressed and poorer, then, we'll give you some money to bail you out. And each time they get poorer. You would have thought that we would have learned by now, right? That 24 times later, we get poorer each time the IMF says they're going to bail us out, right? I think there is a solution, but it's a solution that's so radical that at this point I lose people, right? So I was a believer in the gold standard. I was a believer in a form of money that is commodity-backed, that is solid, that is chemically durable across time and space, that has been used for 5,000 years as a medium of exchange and a store of value. So it has historical precedent. And it's scarce. It's finite. You can't magically produce more of it, even though alchemists have tried in history. They haven't succeeded. You have to mine it from the ground. It requires energy and work. Proof of work is required to extract it from the ground. These are all characteristics of what is known as sound money. And for many years, it did act as a sound money until it was stolen by the U.S. government, until it was centralized by the U.S. government, until it has become manipulated by large institutions. And it's also impractical because one cannot do a multi-billion dollar transaction and send money halfway across the world in an instant, in a fraction of a second, with gold, because it's big and heavy and it requires transportation and so on. I can't go to local groceries and pay for my groceries in gold coins because it'll be a fraction of a coin and I can't cut up gold coins. So it's impractical. Is there an alternative that is also scarce, finite, divisible, electronically transferable, fungible, meaning that one unit of that currency is the same as another unit of a currency? Diamonds, for example, can't be used as currency. Why not? Because one diamond is not the same as another diamond, right? They're not fungible. Whereas a dollar is fungible. $1 is the same as another dollar. Gold is fungible. One piece of gold that weighs the same and has the same purity is the same as another of the same weight and purity. These are fungible types of currency. So scarce, finite, what's the other major thing that we need for sound money? Proof of work. The dollar does not have proof of work. What do I mean by that? It takes no energy for the US government to print dollars. That's why they flooded the market with trillions of dollars in the last few years. There's been a massive inflation of the money supply. In Pakistan, we may think that the dollar is a very sound currency because our rupee has been devaluing over so long that we say, well, the rupee is a terrible currency, the dollar is a hard currency. It would be great if we could use the dollar. Obviously, you can't in Pakistan. But we have this idea that the dollar is a sound currency. But actually, the truth is the opposite. If you held $100 in the year 1900, by the year 2000, those $100 are worth only $4 in real terms after inflation. Your dollar has devalued 96% in 100 years. It's a massive devaluation that is now accelerating because of the inflation of the money supply in order to address crises like depressions and recessions and COVID and this and that, and financing wars, by the way. You will notice that since 1971, when Nixon removed the gold peg to finance the Vietnam War, the US has been in a perpetual state of war ever since then, because it can finance it by stealing the wealth of citizens through inflation, by devaluing money, by increasing the money supply. It's an excellent way to finance war, and that's why they've been in this perpetual state of war. So fiat money is evil. Fiat money leads to mass slaughter. Fiat money has led to the greatest mechanized murder of people on the planet in history in the last 100 years.